Here we go! Are y'all ready? People told me they was waiting for him to say something.
Another day, another chance to witness the horrific spectacle of Disney prodding and kicking the bloated corpse of Star Wars in the desperate hope that it'll let out a burst of flatulent gas which they can pretend is a sign of life. In this case, our latest desperate
dead horse.
of the corpse is the Acolyte, possibly the most unanticipated and unwanted Lucasfilm project since Willow.
Damn right.
A spin-off from the disastrous High Republic books that nobody read, starring a bunch of characters nobody cares about, played by actors that nobody's heard of.
So is that true? Like, is it kind of like High Republic really isn't that popular, or are they any good? There's a difference between no one reading them and them not being any good. Are they both? Let me know in the comments.
And helmed by a woman that nobody seems to like. Really, what can I say about the Acolyte that would make you want to watch it?
This is, I would say, arguably the gayest Star Wars.
Anyway, now that I've seen the first 2 episodes, I'm at least in some position to assess the show's merits. And believe me, this shouldn't take long. The first episode opens with strong female antagonist challenging strong female Jedi to a fight in a bar.
Attack me with all your strength.
Yeah, exactly.
And I must admit, it was nice to
if that was me, I'd have been like, what? Let's have one dude with the cowboy hat. What? That's what I'd have done.
Carrie Ann Moss back in action and, never mind. You know, it's interesting the characters can survive lightsaber injuries like this, but a small throwing knife to the chest is enough to take them down and end their lives. Shows how much I know about human anatomy, I guess. Flash over to the other side of the galaxy and we're introduced to strong female character number 1. Strong female character number 1 is a plucky young woman with a knack for technology who's also strong with the Force. Where have I seen this before? Anyway, she works as a
I swear George Lucas has got to be somewhere punching the air. I know he's throwing combos. I'm serious. I mean, if it was me, I'd have tore my whole house up seeing what they did to my creation. I'd have tore my house up. Be all type of holes in the walls, dishes broken, TVs smashed. Hell, I'm a billionaire. I could pay for it all again. You know how mad I'd have been if I saw someone desecrate my creation the way they have? Oh my God.
Mechanic or so.
See, this is a thing also that swings the other way and lets you know, listen, fans, you know, sometimes fans go too far. And, you know, word is that George sold it because of all the hate that he got for the prequels. I never thought the prequels were that bad. I couldn't stand Jar Jar, but I enjoyed episode 1 for the most part. I liked it. Loved Darth Maul, Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, that fight. Like, everyone just, that's the, of that movie. I know the second one. I remember reading. I wanted to see the ratings for that when I was a kid. So I went to the paper and that came out. As a kid, I think I was in my 20s when it came out, I think. But I remember I read them and it was like, late fight saves George Lucas's movie or something like that. Because Yoda, that fight with Yoda and Dooku. Because that, I was just like this in my chair. Like this. When I saw Yoda hobbling in and I was like, wait a minute. Is he gonna fight? The crowd erupted as soon as Yoda leapt into the air after he, pulled it, forced his lightsaber to his hand. The crowd woke up. They went insane. And I liked Revenge of the Sith. It was very sad, but I still liked it, and it's arguably the best lightsaber fight we've ever seen. So, where the hell was I going with this? I had a whole point to this. Hold on. Let me go back.
Where have I seen this before? Anyway, she works as a mechanic. Strong female character number 1 is a plucky young woman with a knack for technology who's also...
Oh, yeah, George Lucas selling it because of... Yeah, fans, you know, do you see what has happened? Because you harassed that man. That if it's true, that's the reason why he sold it. Like, how much hate was he getting for that? Like, because I didn't know until I got online and I started to see forums and just stuff and then videos about, George Lucas destroyed my childhood. And I'm just like, do you see what this got us? And I liked the prequels. Do you see how far it went? I think that the majority of the time, the fans' voices bring us great things. The majority of the time. But I think sometimes the vitriol and the venom can go way too far. And you got that man to do something you know he didn't want to do. And look what we got now. All right? Hopefully. Now that it's in the wrong hands will either start doing it right or sell it to someone that will do it right.
So strong with the Force. Where have I seen this before? Anyway, she works as a mechanic.
You serious?
On the outer hulls of space freighters.
It was so stupid what they did with Rey. Oh, she's just so strong. That's how she knows how to do it all. What? Like, a lot of us thought she was Anakin reincarnated. That would have been so damn cool. Oh, well.
Doing the usual stuff like repairing power couplings and putting out fires? Sure, yeah, okay. I guess fire in the Acolyte doesn't need oxygen like in other shows because it no longer has the patriarchy holding it back.
You know how I made it work for me? This is what I thought. Now, a lot of times, shields hold in atmosphere on ships. You've seen that before. That's what I was thinking. There's a bubble around the ship, which is its shield. And that was holding in. I was like, I guess the shield's holding in the atmosphere. That's why it's burning. Okay.
You go, girl fire. Things are going great for her until she gets arrested by dumb male character and strong female character number 2 for the murder of strong female Jedi. See, it turns out that strong female character number 1 and strong female antagonist are actually twin sisters. And so naturally people mix them up after the murder of strong female Jedi. And what is all of this?
Hey, listen. Directors, producers out there, writers, stop giving us the Killmonger haircut, okay? It was different. But listen, in the black community, it was never popular. Just letting y'all know, it was never popular. Like, when I saw that they gave him when Killmonger, I saw when they, that Killmonger had that, it didn't do anything for me. But the fact that people liked him, the haircut was transplanted onto several other characters and in the video games and everything. It just shows you how out of touch they are with us. That they give us all that stupid haircut. But I'm supposed to be happy as a black man that they did give me that haircut and that they put me in it. And it's when you make us look like just.
This based on, you might ask? Why, the eyewitness testimony of the bartender where strong female Jedi got killed. Not DNA samples, which
like every time I see them give us dreads or the Killmonger or something like that, I'm just like, oh, they wanted to really let us know that these characters aren't just black, they are really authentically black.
actually would have made more sense since they're twins.
They come with other haircuts.
Recordings or security footage. Just a guy who saw a young woman kill strong female Jedi. Now, you probably don't need me to tell you that eyewitness testimonies can be notoriously inaccurate, especially in highly stressful situations where our brains release all kinds of chemicals and stimulants to try to keep us alive. chemicals which often cloud our judgment and blur our memory, making us not particularly reliable when it comes to accurate recollection of people and events. I mean, given that he's an alien, I'd have to assume as well that his description of the suspect would probably have boiled down to a young black human female with her hair in braids. Now, in a galaxy composed of thousands of colonized planets, there'd have to be literally billions of people who fit that description. Yet apparently...
By the way, I always thought that design was stupid. But, the hell was I going to say? Damn it! Oh, people have a problem with them doing the Force Foo, or whatever they call it. I don't have a problem with that. As a matter of fact, I've always thought that the Jedi should know how to fight hand to hand. You know, things were always done with the lightsaber or, you know, with the Force, you know, doing different Force abilities. And when I saw Darth Maul kicking them, you know, I was just like, okay, that's what I'm talking about. They should know how to do that anyway. So I'm fine with that, but it's just, I don't know. The choreography is not bad. It's I think it's the execution. We see what moves are being done, but it's the execution of how they did it, and we know that it could have been done a whole lot better.
This was enough to bring them straight to strong female character number 1. Like, how? Also, you might assume that being on the other side of the galaxy at the time of the murder, with multiple witnesses to prove you were there and no means of travelling to and from the site of the killing, would be a pretty strong alibi, but not according to dumb male character at least. Oh yeah, and in case you were wondering what his role in the story is, it's to be consistently wrong about everything to make the various strong female characters look better by comparison. Anyway, they decide to ship strong female character number 1 back to Coruscant to answer for her crimes. Now, you might think it would make sense to just take her back on their own ship, because why wouldn't you do that?
By the way, his earring's in his left ear, not his right ear, which means he's straight. See, growing up in my day, you weren't allowed to have earrings. But guys did start wearing them. And when you did, if you were straight, you had it in your left ear. You only had one, okay? But a lot of gay men wore only one in their right ear, letting you know that they were gay. However, there was a time when guys started wearing them in both. I even wore them in both. Like a lot of the certain actors and athletes, they were, getting double diamonds or whatever. They, you know what I'm saying, and rocking them. I mean, I even wore 2 earrings for a point in time. So, it is what it is. But I'm going to say that I think the character is straight. Not the actor, but I think the character is straight because the earring's in the left ear. That's what I think.
That right? You're there with her already, and there's 2 of you, so you could keep an eye on her and make sure that she doesn't try to escape. Because if she really is responsible for killing a Jedi, despite all the evidence pointing against it, then clearly she's smart, resourceful, and powerful. You don't want to take any chances with this one, lads. Or you could put her on a regular old prison transport with minimal security and just assume that everything's going to work out fine. And wouldn't you know, within about 2 minutes, the other convicts stage a prison break, overpower the one and only guard droid on board, and leave her alone to crash land on the planet. Which she survives because an uncontrolled crash from orbital velocity is definitely the sort of thing you can walk away from. Mm-hmm. Anyway, back on Coruscant, we're introduced to Squid Game Guy, who receives work...
And I remember someone saying in their review, I think, they were like, a pod leaving the ship moves the direction of the ship. And I was like, well, I think maybe, depending on how force of the pod ejecting, since the ship no longer has any more control. It's kind of like when you see astronauts or people in spacesuits and stuff, and they have like a moving them to the left, right, forward. I'm like, well, I guess if the ship it truly is adrift, but yeah, it would have to depend on the how big the force of the pod ejecting. And when I was watching, I was like, shouldn't that ship have been falling a whole lot faster to that planet? Like when you see her hit, I'm like, that thing should have been coming in flaming hot, but whatever. Don't try. My point is, don't try to think about it.
Word from strong female character number 3 that strong
by
female
the
character
way,
number 1.
Soul. Soul is the only thing that I hear people saying anything good about, and I think they really gave him that name because of Korea. Soul Korea. Except his name is spelled S-O-L instead of S-E-O. or I forgot how Seoul, Korea is spelled, but I think it's Seol or Seoul or something like that. His character took me out every time I watched him because he doesn't have a great command over the English language. And I could tell, I was like, he sounds like he's having a hard time speaking English. And I've noticed that with a couple of other people that I've seen, I think like Jackie Chan or Jet Li, maybe even Donnie Yen, maybe. But I've seen that and I'm like, okay, well, I know why they brought these guys over because of their extraordinary martial arts ability. So they don't really need to talk much. You know what I mean? They get it done with the martial arts. That's why they're in this movie. But this guy, I don't think he's a martial artist, is he? But he got popular, really popular, because of the Squid Games, at least over here. So I'm like, wait a minute. They just brought him over here. They put him in it because he's popular from the Squid Games? Is that it? And I heard, after thinking all of this, I was like, people were like, oh, he learned English for this. And I'm like, okay. It's very commendable that he learned English well enough for this. But it takes me out because when people don't have a proper command of the language that they're speaking, you can tell that they don't truly understand the lines that they are speaking. They don't truly understand where accents and inflection and certain sounds of the voice should be. And that's anyone speaking any language that they're not, so it just throws me off because it feels like broken English, even though he's speaking the lines properly. It sounded like he was having a hard time to me, and I get it.
One's ship has crashed. They know this because they picked up the escaped prisoners from the escape pod, but they haven't gotten around to investigating the crash site yet, and are thinking about sending out probe droids to take a quick look. Okay, back up a second, because I really want to go over this one. If you recovered these prisoners from the escape pod and brought them all the way back to Coruscant, that must mean that you already had at least one Republic ship in orbit around the planet to recover the escape pod in the first place. So you're telling me that instead of investigating the crash site for survivors, which would have been on the planet directly below, you instead brought the prisoners all the way back to Republic headquarters and then asked for instructions? So, are you retarded or what? Also, if strong female character number 3 looks familiar to you, you might recognise her as showrunner Leslie Headland's wife. I'm sure that had absolutely nothing to do with her casting in this show, just like James Gunn doesn't let family connections influence his casting choices either. Anyway, Squid Game guy decides that he wants to take a look at the site for himself, because strong...
You know what? I know a lot of people have problems with that. I don't, as long as they do their jobs properly. I think it's like anything else. I've noticed, having dipped my feet into Hollywood and met several people and know several people, that it runs just like anything else. You down at the plant, at the factory, the dad, the brother, the sister, the wife, they all work there. And we know why they all work there. Dad started, got mom in, and the kids... when they were, it's how it is. But if they don't do their job properly, if they can't do the job properly, you shouldn't be handling them. I'm not saying she doesn't, but I'm just talking about nepotism. You know what I mean? Just, if you're going to hire family, make sure they don't make you look stupid.
Female character number 1 was his Padawan once upon a time. So he rounds up dumb male character and strong female character number 2 and heads off to the crash site to investigate, and almost immediately runs into her after ripping off a scene from The Fugitive. Then he explains that strong female antagonist is definitely dead because he saw her die in a fire when she was a kid, so strong female character number 1 is the only person who could possibly have committed this crime. But then strong female character number 1 is like, I didn't do it, trust me bro. And he's like, well, I'm convinced. Fuck me, you're easy to win over, aren't you? It's good to see that a Jedi Knight won't listen to evidence, logic or reason, but a single unverified claim by a woman with absolutely no reason to be truthful is enough to totally change his perspective. I'm very much in the camp that rational evidence would be enough to exonerate her in this case, but if you're not even willing to listen to that, and are still convinced that her twin sister died because you apparently saw it happen, then what other...
I think we find out why he believes her. More of why he believes her in the third episode. I've been watching some stuff.
Conclusion can you draw here? You know, here's a crazy idea. How about you do that forced mind reading thing that you did earlier with one of the escaped prisoners? That would clear up everything pretty quickly. Either she would open her mind to you and you'd be able to tell if she was innocent or guilty, or if she tried to block you, it would be a pretty strong indication that she was trying to cover up her own guilt. But nah, one quick conversation's enough to change his mind, I guess. Meanwhile, strong female antagonist goes for a walk on a beach and meets up with Discount Venom, who delivers what may be one of the most nonsensical monologues in the entire show.
Hey, I got a question. Why does every Sith villain after Vader have some type of mouth apparatus? So there's a lot of them. They have some mouth breathing things, some helmets. It's like because Vader is so popular and he had the breathing apparatus and the mask, we have to somehow make the villain reminiscent of Vader, because if we don't have that member berry of Vader. I know you guys have picked that up on that. This is my first time ever speaking of that, but there's a lot of villains that I've noticed, Sith in lore that are like that. Not all of them. I'm just like, oh God, that's a callback to Vader. That's a callback to. As soon as I see somebody with a mask or a breathing apparatus, it's a callback to Vader. Even in the first movie, you're watching it, you're like, everybody has a mask. It's kind of like Vader. Okay, he's the leader. He has his mask. Then all the stormtroopers have a mask. And guys flying the TIE fighters, they've got a mask. It's black and someone with hoses. And I get it. It's a team thing,
Oh.
Steel or laser are no threat to that.
Sith Joker.
She literally did kill a Jedi with a fucking blade less than 30 minutes ago. Like, do these people even read
The way
their
she
own
dropped
scripts?
was funny.
Do they even think about what they're writing? Then he ignites a red lightsaber for no other reason than because they want you to know that he's a Sith, and that's
Right.
it. That's episode 1 over. What a completely retarded mess this show is.
His
It's
makeup
built
is
around
horrible.
literally the simplest by-the-numbers murder
Made his
mystery
hair look
plot,
stupid and
complete with
everything.
Twin sister femme fatale tropes and everything, and somehow still finds a way to fuck it up. And it's all held together by insane coincidences, ridiculous contrivances, and decisions that run contrary to logic and common sense. Andor showed us how a murder investigation can be conducted in a smart, gripping, tension-building way, with a combination of deductive logic, interesting character moments, and explosive bursts of gritty action. You get the feeling they were trying real hard to emulate that tone and feel in this show. The only things they're missing are brains, creativity, imagination, and writing skill. And that's not the only problems at play here either. The acting is terrible, the fight choreography is weak, nobody looks like they actually want to be here, and the pacing is god-awful. The episode could probably have been wrapped up in under 20 minutes without all the pointless time-wasting travel backwards and forwards and redundant conversations telling us stuff we just saw happen. We're only 1 episode in so far, and I can already see how they're having to stretch the paper-thin plot to try to spin it out into 8 episodes. This show might aspire to be something like Andor, but it's more like Book of Boba Fett. And believe me, it only gets worse with episode 2, but I'm going to have to cover that in a separate video because I don't think my mind or my liver can handle too much of this stuff all at once.
Gonna drink more.
Anyway, that's all I've got for today.
Disney,
Go away now.
you are making the drinker drink more. Do not do this to him. Okay? It's how he gets by. Go over to the drinker. Tell him Tyrone Magnus sent you and subscribe. If you enjoyed my thoughts and reaction to this, hit the like button, subscribe, and share.